All right, today another project, an altcoin project, in the midst of what is a very active week in crypto, and that is going to be talking about Elrond. I know you guys have asked about it, so we're going to go and dive into it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. Joining me today is Evan Aldo. Of course, we're going to dive into some technical analysis as well. Before we get started, though, what is Elrond? It's going to jump to this first thing. This was basically built in 2019, kind of describes itself as the scalable, fast, and secure blockchain platform for distributed apps, enterprise use cases, and kind of this new internet economy. Elrond also claims that they handle the scalability issue, 1,000x improvement in blockchain speed, scale, cost, and user experiment. Basically, in layman's term, what they're trying to do is get to a point, because there's a lot of Web 2.0 applications that are trying to convert to Web 3.0, essentially using blockchain technology and or using maybe cryptocurrency in terms of transaction vehicles. Because of that, you're going to need some pretty fast blockchain applications, and of course Elrond is one of those that kind of falls into that category, which is why a lot of people love this project so much. Another thing too I wanted to jump to, and that is on the price. Let's jump over here quickly just to kind of talk about an analysis. Can this crash recent get us down to the 170 support? And we're going to dive into that with Evan and kind of take a look at the chart. Let's jump into it. Market Cipher 101 here.
Well, yeah, so basically what we can look at on my screen, so Elrond crashed down with everything else the other day. Basically, let's take out our fib level on the daily, and you can notice, like a lot of other things, we had our golden cross right here, our 50 moving average, 50-day moving average crossing above the 200-day moving average. We got a nice bump up from that. Is it over? I mean, probably not. I think we got, I think there's a good chance we continue forward as long as Bitcoin keeps the 20-week moving average at 42.5. So it seems like this 382, this is a big fib level right here, is holding its support. It's about 200 bucks, big psychological area at 200 bucks. I feel like a lot of people are coming in at 200 bucks. Our VWAP is coming down on the daily, so when this is pointing downward, if you're not too familiar with market cipher, that does mean, of a correction. It could have played out, and we're hitting this point. So what we do is we look at some lower time frames to see what's going to happen next. So our 12-hour right here isn't too conclusive. We have our VWAP coming up while money flow is coming out. So that's usually indicative of a sideways, kind of a consolidation. Usually after you have a big move up or down, that's usually what happens. So that's not a cause for concern. And then the 6 hours. So VWAP is coming up while money is coming out. So I mean, still not too, no conclusions from that. Look at the 4 hour right here. Our VWAP is coming up. We're printing a green dot. Those are the famous green dots. It confirms in 2 hours and 50 minutes. I think it'll probably confirm, and the reason I think that is because if you look at these lower time frames, like the 30-minute, we are seeing a lot of curvature, and we're deep in the red. So this means this is indicative of very, very oversold. However, obviously, it could go farther into the red, but I think we're getting to the point where we're almost done here. And what I really like here, this is what I love, our 15-minute. So this is an anchor wave, and on Market Cipher, anchor waves are below the 60 right here, and then trigger waves are ones that are really close to the zero line. Usually when you have some anchor waves and you get a trigger wave, you come up. We are fighting with this, this was the fib level I was talking about 200. We're fighting with the fib level. Will we keep it? It's tough to say right here. It really is tough to say. If you're a more conservative trader, I would say wait till we get into the green in this money flow on the 15-minute. We could even look at the 10-minute a tiny bit. It does look like money flow is coming up. This is a divergence right here. Another thing you could do with Market Cipher. We got price coming down and then draw our trend line. Money is coming up while these waves are coming up. Nice little trigger wave. Might not be the worst place to go long. Maybe lock in the profits early, but I think there's a good shot Elrond does come up.
So on Elrond, these projects like this on a lot of these altcoins with Bitcoin, if it does hold that 42.5 kind of resistance level, and we do see the market pounce a little bit, and I want to take a look here on just live currency, just so everybody kind of we're on top of it. So it's holding at 43.8. Currently, let me refresh that just to make sure we haven't had too much. Yeah, 43.8 holding in right there. With that being the case, I think a lot of people look at altcoins, especially in projects like this, to where these are some short time or some short-term runs that they can go in and trade. Evan, when you look at the strategy you use, especially on altcoins, do you find, how do you go about researching a project and saying, this is what I'm going to use, other than just saying, I'm going to go with a top 10, market cap coin.
Yeah, well, I mean, I look at fundamentals a little bit. There are a lot of projects I like. I do like Elrond. I think it's fundamentally a good project. There are some other ones I like too. And, I mean, obviously for somebody like me trading, when I see it on the big exchanges, when I'm able, there's the availability on Phoenix or Bybit to trade it with leverage. That's
Right.
gonna, if there's something where I have to pay a fee just to buy it, like with Uniswap,
Yep.
then I'm gonna be less inclined to do it, because if I do a limit order on Phoenix, I'm getting money just by
Exactly.
placing the order too.
Yeah, exactly. This was a piece that was a couple of weeks ago, but I thought it was interesting. 3 reasons why the price of Elrond is hitting new daily highs. This, of course, was when Elrond, prior to the little bit of correction that we are starting to see, but decentralized finance protocols, these are all of these that are kind of really seeing some of these upward moves. And of course, the momentum appears to be picking up now, especially around the NFT space. Are you finding, when you look at the projects and their relationship to NFTs, much like Solana, you look at Avalanche and what they've been able to do and kind of their whole ecosystem, now we see Algorand starting to make moves into that direction. Is that one of the precursors that kind of helps you look at projects and say, we got to go this way because of the ecosystem?
I've been really debating. Like the big debate now is everyone thinks there's going to be another Solana. Solana's had its run, now corrected.
Right.
Some people think it's going to be Avalanche. Some people think it's going to be Elrond. I mean, there's a few others people have talked about, but yeah, I think there is, as long as Bitcoin holds this line at 42.5, I think there's going to be another one that comes up. I think the NFTs are going to continue to come up as well. I mean, will it be Elrond? Will it be Avalanche? Hard to say.
And a lot of people, I think, when they look at the trading zones that happen, meaning you're looking at primary crypto right now, which is top 10 tokens, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. Likelihood is we're right here at the edge of the bull run, probably within sight. Right now, either we're going to see the top and maybe a blow off if we really get some good performance here. Everybody's always wondering, well, what happens after that? And that's where the DeFi space gets really interesting in usually these crypto winners. And because of that, many of these projects, at that point, you've probably already taken your profits, but there's some great re-entry points in many of these projects, depending on what you're doing, whether it's NFT or maybe going into NFT gaming. Do you see the market, what happens, I guess, when you go off the bull run end? And where can a trader make money?
Well, I mean, there's 2 ways. So I think it's not going to be the bear market that we saw last time. I think since we're having diminishing returns this time, we're not seeing Bitcoin go from, I don't know, what was it, $500 to 20 grand. There's going to be diminishing returns. That's a good thing in the sense that it means there's going to be diminishing losses as well. It's not going to go down as much. Some of these altcoins obviously can crash, but I mean, I think the fundamental projects do have a good shot at doing well, and crypto is being adopted so much more. There's a possibility we stay in kind of, a slightly more neutral or even bull market going forward.
Wow, that would really change the game.
Yeah, I mean, with money printing, with inflation, it's tough to say completely. I would say the best thing to do in the bear market is dollar cost average in the projects you believe in long term. And you're going to have a good shot at, come 2024, come 2025, making a killing once it.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we've talked about here on the channel, is kind of this shift in inflation to when the Fed starts doing some tapering. So if the Fed does go in and start doing a little bit of tapering, a lot of people, analysts, we talk a lot of analysts. We look at political analysts who are looking at it from a structural, a completely different rather than financial, but the things that kind of drive the financial markets. And they're kind of all telling us that it looks like end of 22, early 23, providing that we don't have some sort of black swan event. Now, of course, this Evergrande thing within the Chinese market, I don't know that necessarily would be a black swan event. It could be if it had some ripple effects, but the point being is that if we don't see tapering until end of 22, maybe 23, you're right, that is going to still maintain a fairly bullish run in all asset classes, including cryptocurrency. So I think that's definitely going to be one. All right, so if you're picking out if you're just spot trading on Elrond, KuCoin I think is another spot you can get to it.
Right.
what are your recommendations when you look at traders that are going in and spot trading? Because this is sometimes market cipher can be a little bit too much for some people.
Right. So for spot trading, I mean, it depends how long you're trying to keep it. If this is something you're trying to keep for a while, you want to look at. So say you want to keep this for a few weeks, you want to be looking at the daily. Bigger charts like that. Say you. Yep. I mean, obviously, this is, in hindsight, this is going almost a month and a half back, but look at these money flow crossovers.
Yep.
If you got in right here when we first went into the green right here, you would be up. I mean, let's see how much you'd be up. 100%, yeah. And I mean, I always tell people, rule of thumb, when it starts to feel euphoric, get out. And I mean, look at that price, 300, nice round number, big psychological number.
Wham.
Get out right there. And don't take everything out, just take 50% out and then let the rest just ride. Always hedge the bet in a way where,
Yeah, and I think what you're pointing to here, Evan, is on Market Cipher is that sometimes if you're utilizing Market Ciphers or tools like this, maybe it's Trade the Chain, for sentiment analysis to try to get some of those leading indicators. Maybe you're watching some of our videos when we do a lot of our charting on sentiment and amplification, because we're trying to forecast based on the things that drive money flow, which is usually sentiment. So it's how people feel before they go out and put their pocketbook in play before it hits the charts and actually shows up on a Market Cipher scenario. But with Market Cipher, if you guys are not really tuned in to really going into, say, building out a buy bid or a Phoenix account and doing some of these kind of leverage trades, but you're just looking at doing some spot trades, maybe you're just using Coinbase Pro or maybe something else, Market Cipher is still a good tool because it can help you create those identifying windows of when to do spot trades and when to exit trades as well, because that's the biggest point, is knowing when to exit.
The other thing you could look at is, I looked at the daily, but if you want a place to get out where, once you made some money, look at the 6 hour maybe. Look, we have, prices starting to come into the red here. 12 hour is really good too. See, look at this. I mean, people would say, it's too late, you caught it. But if you got in back on this money flow crossover, you'd still be quite a bit ahead. And it depends, the type of trader you are, who you are, how much, if you're spot trading, people spot trading, they usually put larger amounts of money in rather than someone just leverage trading, something like that.
Do spider lines really help you much on a project like Elrond when you're Elrond when you're looking at using Market Cipher?
So spider lines are mainly with Bitcoin. You can do spider lines with really anything, and the thing is, it might be harder with Elrond because this is a newer project. I haven't tried them, but you could go here. They're always on the weekly, and you could find, it would be tough like this. I think, you're better off with a project like this. Just use the Fibonacci. I like the Fibonacci for something like this, or just do traditional lines of support and resistance if you want to map it out and see right there. But I mean, these lines, it seems to be holding, sticking to that 200. I mean, they're strong lines of support and resistance. Spider lines are mainly Bitcoin. I've done them on Ethereum. They're decent on Ethereum too, depending on how you do them. Spider lines are kind of like pseudoscience. They're new, and they're people kind of, it's half of it's guessing, but they do, they've worked well. If you see Crypto Faces trades, he's done very, very, very well with spider lines.
Yeah, he's definitely got some different angles in how he approaches it, I think. And for him, I've noticed, at least if you watch Crypto Faces trades, he doesn't get personalized into these trades at all. This is just a vehicle. It's the vessel, in which you are dealing with some of these things. But if you guys like what you are watching, seeing, hearing, if you're over on the podcast, make sure and subscribe. If you're here on the show and you're checking out some of these charts that Evan is showing you, the thing that you got to do is subscribe, man. It's just that simple. You subscribe to the channel, and also share with us some of the projects maybe you want us to see or want us to dive into. Happy to do that. You can reach us via email if you want to reach out to our producers, just producer@revernetworks.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.